Last time on Casino Royale with cheese.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
Could a cartoon and a human get down
I would think so. You know,
in their world?
I'd be afraid of like a vagina buzzer or something.
A vagina buzzer.
Right? Like a bear trap in her snatch or something, you know?
Oh, God.
You would think that, you know, he could, you know, play with their naughty bits.
You love to just go there, don't you?
And now, the conclusion.
Houston, we have a problem.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
A boy's best friend is his mother.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Silent breed is people!
Yo, Adrian!
Let's put a smile on that face.
I gotta warn you, Clark. They don't play the same games here as they do at them regular casinos.
Royale, too.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Welcome back to Casino Royale with Cheese. This is episode number 20 of the show where we discuss movies that were number one at the box office exactly 20 years ago. My name is Shane. I am joined today by the leader of Mikeania from the Chandler Galaxy. This is Mike.
What's up, bro?
Not much, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm actually really excited. We're doing one in person today.
We are. And we picked a good one, I think, to do in person.
I think so, too. The reason why we're able to do it in person is I had an excuse to come up here.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
As some of you may have seen on Facebook, Big Willie has joined the family.
He has. He has indeed. Little boy, 8 pounds, 7 ounces. He was 21 inches. So
pretty long.
Actually smaller than our daughter when she was born.
Well, she's a long one.
Yeah, she was. Well, she weighed more, too.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Madeline was a chunk, man. But he's awesome. I'm rocking like 4.5 hours of sleep right now. So
it's a side effect of newborn babies.
It is, man. I'm struggling. I'm going to power through this, and then I'm out.
You're going to go pass out?
Right.
I'm just going to skip dinner and everything, huh?
That's it, man.
Right on.
I'm done, son. How's it going today, buddy?
Pretty good. You know, I had a real chill day. The wife and the kid were here in town.
Yep.
Running around errands and getting ready for today, and
yes,
so they left me at home alone. So I had a chance last night. I just sat and watched a movie.
And then 2 burglars tried to break in, and you threw a bunch of micro machines on the ground, like Home Alone.
Yeah. No, I got shit faced. Went to bed real early for me.
Yeah.
And woke up, looked at Facebook on my phone, like the chillest of days ever.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty
Sit
good.
and drink coffee and
yeah.
Observe the lilies of the field.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah. No lilies, no coffee, but yeah, just like that.
Right. Something along those lines. Aside from that, I guess I'm good. My wife's doing better. She got more sleep than I did.
She's looking like a new mom, though.
You know, it's funny. I talked to her last night. Or this was actually while we were still in the hospital. And I said, you know, the difference between before you had the baby, as far as your temperament goes, to like right now, less than 24 hours later, is completely different.
Well, she's done a great job. I mean, obviously, she's carried 2 kids to full term and great health. You know, she did what you ask a mom to do.
Right.
But she does not enjoy being pregnant.
No, it's a necessary evil. So, you know, I'm happy that she's doing better, and I'm happy that I'm not dead from exhaustion. So
you got a son out of the deal.
Oh yeah, well of course.
That's pretty cool.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good boy. Sleeps a lot, except when it's time to go to bed.
He's 3 days old, so
right.
Give him some time.
You'll get there. We'll get you there. So, if you want to check out pictures of Will, Casino Royale with Cheese on Facebook is our page. But we're going to plug that later anyway, so It doesn't matter. Anyway, we are here to discuss a movie that was number 1 20 years ago. Why don't you tell us about it, Mike?
This week we had the pleasure of watching The Truman Show.
Was it a pleasure?
We'll get there.
Okay. I'm chomping at the bit to find out what your opinion
Starring Jim Carrey and
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, yeah, that's right.
Ed Harris is fantastic. I love that dude and everything I've seen him in. He, if you don't watch it, he's on Westworld and he's pretty amazing.
Oh,
so,
he is Westworld.
Yeah. Yeah, his character is by far the most interesting bit, in my opinion. I watched him in Enemy at the Gates. That's the movie where the Russian sniper and the German sniper in World War II kind of hunting each other down.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. He's in Apollo 13, if you remember that.
I do.
Yeah. So, this is a good movie. He's a great actor.
Fantastic actor. And then Jim Carrey, who, you know, comedian superstar.
Who? I was missing. Of course.
Yeah. We get a chance to see a little bit of a different side of Jim Carrey in The Truman Show.
Yeah.
I think this might have been the first time we saw a different acting style. He gives us some of that classic Jim Carrey, you know, crazy, goofy stuff. But But for the most part, he plays it pretty straight.
Pretty straight. I think that's one of the strengths of why this movie did as well as it did at the time. Because star power back in movies back in the day had a lot more pull than it does nowadays, I think. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, people were like, oh, it's a Jim Carrey movie. I'll go check it out, you know? And I think that one of the things that kind of worked to its advantage, and then when they went in there, they were like, that's not really what I thought it was going to be. But it was still good, you know? And so it had some staying power at the box office for that reason.
Going into the Truman Show 20 years ago, you expected to see an outlandish comedy.
Ace Ventura or something, yeah.
Or The Mask or
Dumb
something,
and Dumber,
something along those lines. But you got a different take.
Yes. Even Liar Liar, I think it came out just before this.
Did it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Take your word for it.
I don't care. It's fine. But yeah, so there's that. Let's go through the roll call here and see who all's names pop up in this movie. I noticed that. So check this out. The dude Harry Shearer that played the douchebag news reporter in Godzilla was in this too.
He is?
Yeah, he's the one doing Kristoff's interview.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so I was like, he had like 2 movies that he was in that were back-to-back number ones in 1998.
He was crushing it in 98.
Yeah, his bit parts. We had Jim Carrey, Laura Linney. Who, if you haven't seen Ozark, she's great. And she's one of those characters that you love to hate, which shows how great she is. I could not stand her in that show.
I've always been a fan of hers.
Yeah.
And everything that she does, and she's awesome in this too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Noah Emmerich, he's the one that played Marlon.
Okay.
I think I've seen that dude, and I want to say it was in the movie. God, what was that movie that had Jim Caviezel, and this is the one where Frequency, where he speaks to his dad over the CB radio, like 30 years in the past or whatever.
Dead Dad?
Yeah. And
I recognize him in some stuff. I just couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah, I hear you. Natasha McElhone plays Lauren Sylvia. I'm sure I've seen her in stuff, but I couldn't tell you.
Definitely have seen her in things.
Yeah. But I couldn't, once again, tell you. Mike's looking it up. While we do that, I'm going to discuss the director, a guy named Peter Weir. And he doesn't do a lot of movies, but whenever he does, they're usually pretty big hits. He did this. He did The Dead Poets Society. He did the movie Witness with Harrison Ford, Mosquito Coast with Harrison Ford, and so every so often he'll come up with a good one that that's, I would say his average is like every 5 years he'll come out with a movie, but he usually makes some pretty big waves whenever he does. And then it was written by a guy named Andrew Niccol. Andrew Niccol, I'm sure you would recognize his movies if I told you. Lord of War.
Okay.
I really like that movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. The Terminal with Tom Hanks, where he's the foreign dude that's stuck in the airport, but his government was dissolved during his flight, and so technically he can't leave the airport.
I don't know if I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was a Spielberg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. With Tom Hanks. He did The Truman Show. He did Gattaca, which I love that movie with Ethan Hawke. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's pretty good.
Then Natasha McElhone,
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, she's Karen in Californication. So she is David Duchovny's ex-wife, I believe.
Okay.
Through the entire series. It's probably where I would have seen her the most at. I watched quite a bit of that show. And she's in the new show, Designated Survivor.
Oh, with Kiefer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of that, though, so I don't know.
No, I love Kiefer, though. I've heard that Californication was quite good.
It's good.
I've never watched it.
I really like it. I mean, it's just basically a guy going through like a midlife crisis and exploring all of his
urges.
Yeah, all his sexual urges.
I love David Duchovny, though.
He's really good in it.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because apparently he has a real life sex addiction. So, you know.
We'll be talking about him later this year.
Yeah, we will. I'm really pumped about that, but we'll get to that.
Sure you are.
Down the road. Let's see. Do you want to go through numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, this movie came out June 5th, 1998. Made on a budget of 60 million United States dollars. What would you guess? How many weeks are we talking here?
2 weeks?
That is a very good guess, actually.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that is, yeah. You nailed it. Along with that, how much do you think its overall take in the U.S. was?
130 million.
Oh, you're close. It was 125, 618. Woo! So, yeah. It was pretty good. Pretty good.
My other guess was going to be 120, so...
Oh, okay.
Split the difference.
So, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think it did pretty well for 60 million. It doubled its production budget back anyway in the U.S. So, and then...
Don't you think that's got to be a hit? Like, if you double your budget, it's a hit, right?
You would think so, but you would be wrong. So, whenever they say production budget, all they're taking into account is paying the actors, paying the director, paying the producer, buying the sets, and paying the guy that does the music, all the production stuff. You know?
Well, the producers are the one that do all the paint.
Right, yeah. But one thing that they don't take into account that is really ballooned out of control lately is that doesn't account for the advertising budget. And so, like a movie, for example, they said the new Han Solo, a Star Wars story movie that came out.
Right.
That movie is reportedly was made on a budget of somewhere between $250 and $300 million.
Yeah, it's the 13th all-time most expensive movie to make.
Oh, really?
I just happened to know that because we were talking about that in the office the other day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because, like, Avatar, for example,
It's cost more than Avatar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that the reason why is because they had to, like, reshoot, like, 80% of the movie, basically.
Oh.
Because they fired the original directors. But the whole deal with that, though, is what they're saying is after you account for the advertising, like the marketing on it, then basically it's going to have to make back like $500 million in order to just break even. And so...
do you count advertising dollars like if I put Solo on the side of like gummy bears?
Yes.
Do I have to pay to put my Solo on the gummy bears, or does the gummy bear company pay me to have it on?
Hook it up. I think there might be some middle ground there. It depends, I guess, on the company. I know, for example, like in the case of if we're talking like Back to the Future, for example, there was a advertisement in that movie for the California raisins, or there was supposed to be, and basically it got like a little blurb on like a bus bench, and so California Raisin had actually gone through and paid Universal Studios for putting an advertisement in there, and they wound up giving the money back. They're like, we didn't really plug your stuff, you know. And so in that case, yeah, it would be.
But that's to be in the movie,
right?
I'm talking about. I got fruit snacks with Solo on the side, and I got little Solo shaped fruit snacks.
I can only assume with something like that the movie studio would pay to put it on, like a fruit snack or popsicles or whatever.
Oh, okay.
We'll
have to do some research.
Right.
We're basically talking back and forth. We're debating a topic we have no idea about.
We're discussing the pressing matters here.
This is how smart Shane and I think we are. We think we can just throw a topic out there and we can figure out the answer just talking to
I'm an expert. I know nothing about it, but you know me. I've seen lots of movies. I know my way around Hollywood.
Okay, we've gotten way off track.
No, so in an instance like that, though, like Solo had like a Super Bowl commercial, you know, and so obviously they paid out the ass for that, you know, and so I don't think that like the Truman Show necessarily had that kind of, you know, publicity, like marketing to it, but you can assume that there was probably a good, I would say at least $30 to $40 million spent as far as marketing.
So the short answer to my question is no, it's not a hit if it doubles its production cost.
Right. It might. It just depends on what the advertising looked like. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Usually you can take into account, like in this case, it brought in like $5 million more than double its production value, and so you can assume there's probably at least maybe $15 million in there. But that's also not accounting for the worldwide take, which it brought in that money too. So it was definitely a success at the box office. But anyway, that was one hell of a rabbit hole.
We got way sidetracked.
Yeah, man. Anyway, any other nuanced stuff to mention before we get to yammering about this?
No, I think all the nuance is built right into the movie. So
I think you're right.
I'm ready to do it.
Yeah. Okay, start us up.
Well, Ed Harris is talking to the camera,
Yes.
like directly right into the camera.
We see fake credits.
Do we?
Yeah, because it talks about created by Christoph. And it talks about, like, it actually says...
But the opening thing is him talking to the camera.
Right, yeah.
And then it starts going into fake credits.
Right, into the... Yeah.
All right. So he's talking about Truman and how he was saying there's nothing fake about Truman. It's all real. So they're breaking it down for us, and like you said, they start showing us fake credits where they're introducing, like, Laura Linney's
Lewis
character.
Coltrane as Marlon, for example.
Right.
But obviously that's...
Not his
neither
real
one
name.
of those are the actor's actual name, yeah.
Right, and same with Laura Linney. She's got an actor's name and a character name.
Hannah McGill was Meryl.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't remember watching it the first time. We didn't even talk about our first time.
Oh, no, tell me about it.
So my first time, like, I just went to go see a Jim Carrey movie.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I saw it on VHS rental. And I watched it and was like, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I had a very different experience watching it back this time.
Okay. I know that I rented it back in the day. I think I must have just started like my freshman year in high school. And I remember really liking it, this movie. I remember talking to another buddy of mine that went to the same school as me. And he was like, what if everything that you're doing right now is like part of a TV show? It's like, frankly, I'm not that interested, you know, and neither are you, to be truly honest, you know. But
as much as we would all like to think that the world revolves around us,
oh yeah, no,
it doesn't.
I really hope that it does. Because man, that would suck. What a crappy world that would be.
So what my point was, like, when the first time I watched it, I don't remember being introduced to the fact that it was a television show so quick in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was something that we discovered with Truman for some reason.
Right.
But no, watching this now, like, they make it very clear from the very opening scenes and credits of this movie that this is a television show made about a guy that has no idea there's a television show about him.
Right. They kind of leave it, I think, maybe a little bit vague so that, you know, but if you know the premise of the movie kind of going into it, then obviously, like, even if you haven't seen it in a while, you're like, oh, this is, you know, they're kind of laying all their cards out, you know, right now.
Yeah.
I watched it with my mother-in-law, believe it or not. And so whenever she was watching it, she kind of was picking up on some of it. She hadn't seen it before, but she was like, I guess, you know, but she still did a little bit of that discovery with the Truman Burbank character too, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think that they do kind of allude to some different stuff, but you don't really know how deep it goes, and they're kind of vague about it at the same time.
It does unravel more throughout the film.
Yeah.
But my point being, I didn't know that it starts the movie off telling you this is a show.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
So then we get a chance to see Truman.
Yes.
He is staring into the mirror.
I love these bathroom scenes.
They're really good, and I hope they're improv.
I know one of them was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's looking into the mirror and he's giving himself like a little pep talk. And then he goes through this scenario where if they were on a mountain and they were dying, that he ordered the other people to eat him. And
right. Kind of like you'd think of like a mountain expedition or something. Yeah.
He's giving this very bizarre like monologue.
But he's like saying the lines for everybody, and like he's talking about like maybe just your love handles, you know, I'd eat that. And then the guy's like, I have love handles, you know. It's really funny.
It's really good.
He's like, little tiny ones. Yeah.
And we find out that it's day 10,909 consecutive days they've been airing Truman.
Which, that means it's 48 days before his 30th birthday. I figured that out.
You know what? I meant to do the math, but as I mentioned, I watched this movie and I was also drinking. So I think by the time the movie got over, I was completely overdoing some math.
Happen.
Yeah. So he's 48 days before he turns 30.
Yes.
That's some significance to it, right?
I guess.
I mean, isn't the common, like, I say common, like,
change of life.
But I feel like before you're 30, it's so awesome because you can fuck up and make mistakes and everything. You can still claim to be young.
It's kind of expected for you to screw up.
But once you hit 30, like, at least in this country, you're kind of expected to get your shit together by then and start to work things out.
There's a buddy of mine, he used to say, you know, because he was really into drinking and various other things. And he said that, you know, he basically gave it all up cold turkey. And he said that, you know, it's different whenever you're 25, passed out in the lawn and, you know, in the morning, whenever people are going to work and stuff like that. He said whenever you turn like 30, it's a completely different thing.
It's just sad at that point.
Yeah. You look pathetic.
And I work with teenagers every day. And, you know, I build relationships with these kids. And, you know, we get kind of close sometimes. And the kids will ask me questions like, would you go back, like, to high school? And I'm like, no.
I wouldn't.
But they're like, you don't want to be younger again? I'm like, I would turn the hands back to like 30.
Yeah.
Because by then I pretty much quit making dumb decisions and was moving my life in the right direction. Mm-hmm. There's no way I'd go back to being like a teenager.
No. That was awful. And
well, I was fucking retarded.
Right. And maybe it's just me. I didn't have any particular fondness for high school either, you know. I was just one of those deals. Like, I didn't hate it. Like, I wasn't, you know, wearing kick me signs and shit or nothing like that, but yeah, I just didn't care for it all that much.
Right.
So plus you get older and you have your own shit, you know, and you make money and have independence. So
yeah,
whatever.
So 48 days before his 30th birthday. I think
yes,
that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And after his bathroom scene, his wife like hollers at him, says you're gonna be late, and he walks out the front door fully dressed, says good morning to his neighbors.
Yes.
And in case I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And it's kind of like his tag phrase.
Like a catchphrase, yeah. Yep, I agree. Then his neighbor's Dalmatian actually like freaks him out for a second. Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently he doesn't like dogs. I think they kind of go into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, they do. They show us why,
Yeah. Then all of a sudden he sees something fall from the sky. It's really odd. I remember watching this movie for the first time, and this is why I think that maybe it doesn't necessarily play all of its cards up front, because I remember when I watched this for the first time I was like, what the hell was that, you know? The stupid stage light like falls from the sky or whatever, and he doesn't know what to think about it. He's like kind of approaching it, kind of afraid to touch it, you know.
Yeah, and when he picks it up, the light's labeled Sirius.
Yeah,
so it's a star,
right?
But he doesn't know that.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I wasn't thinking stars. I was like, I don't know what that Sirius is all about. But yeah, it would make sense though that that it's just basically a star twinkling.
Yeah, it's a spotlight.
Yeah.
That creates
simulating
a star.
nighttime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a light, and then we start to get some real ideas of what the Truman world is really like.
Yeah.
Because when he's driving to work, like almost immediately. Like, he just looked at the light, and then he got in the car to start driving to work. And then on the news radio, it talks about an airplane that's falling apart.
Shedding parts. And,
and it's falling into, what's the name of their town?
Sea Haven Island.
Yeah, they're in Sea Haven Island, and luckily no one was hurt.
Right.
But I was like, damn, that was fast.
Mm-hmm. But he even made a point to, like, look up in the sky. There weren't any airplanes or anything, you know, so... Yeah. There's little quirky stuff all the time in this that he just kind of accepts and then later on stops accepting, you know? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, they're full of shit right up front.
He goes to his newspaper stand. It looks like he does his daily routine. You know, like, gets a cup of coffee, he goes to the newspaper stand, he buys a paper and a magazine for his wife.
Obviously, he listens to the same radio station every day. Talks to... There's the two twin guys that, like, you know, do the little product placement thing.
They always force him against an advertisement sign.
Right.
The Kaiser chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that it was walking like a Nazi?
What was the
chicken? Like, he's got...
And it's a Kaiser?
Yeah.
That's great. No, I didn't
he was
notice
what
that.
You called it last week.
It's like goose stepping.
Yeah, the chicken has a goose step formation, so it's got one leg up, the other one's at 90 degrees in front of it.
That is really funny. I love it.
But what does it mean in this movie?
Oh, I don't know. It's some stupid advertise. Well, you think of like, you know,
KFC.
German. Well, like German leaders are called Kaisers, you know, back in the day, and so I can only assume it's kind of a play off of the whole Kaiser thing, where you got the stupid goose stepping chicken out there, you know. It's really dumb, but I think that's funny.
He buys a wife magazine for his wife. He says,
"Yeah, little fashion mags."
All the magazines. Did you notice that they're labeled exactly what they are? Mm-mm. So there's like you can buy wife, You can buy Dog Fancy.
Okay.
You can buy Kids.
I noticed the Dog Fancy. I didn't think anything of it.
So after the guy ordered the Dog Fancy, I started looking at all the magazines like in the rack or
you.
whatever, and they're named like Kids. And then I was like, how weird is that? And then I realized it's not that weird.
No.
Magazines are pretty much labeled like that.
Well, and that's the thing is in this make-believe town anyway, they don't have different, like, competing company like Elle and GQ and stuff. They're just, hey, here's a woman's magazine, you know.
Yeah, but we have magazines that are called like Women.
Well, there you go.
We have magazines called Men's Health.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, I didn't think People, Time. Yeah.
We have
Newsweek.
Yeah. So it's not that far fetched.
Mm-hmm.
We get some more fake news. What form of fake news is it?
Oh, where was it?
Is it in the paper?
What is this here? I wrote down he has a. Oh, was that it? I think it was something he was reading out of the newspaper.
Oh yeah, it said that Sea Haven is the number one town in the whole world.
Yeah, and all this other crap. Yeah, that's when he's in his office, and he's actually calling directory assistance for Fiji, and he's trying to look up, and we don't know why yet, but he looks up first of all a Lauren Garland, and then he looks up a Sylvia Garland, and that's when his stupid cubicle buddy there is trying to like intervene in that whole transaction, with him talking to the Fiji directory assistant. Yeah, and so he holds up the stupid newspaper, and then we see he has that woman's magazine.
Yeah, Wife. And he flips back and forth between two like close-up faces,
right?
Trying to find some. It looks like he's focusing on the eyes,
right?
And then just picks one and rips the eyes right out of it,
right? Yeah.
And we don't know why, but we just see that happen.
No idea.
That's weird.
Weird guy. Yeah. What is it? Okay, so he his boss, I guess, comes up to him and he tells him that he has to go to Wells Park.
Yeah, on Harbor Island.
Yeah, Harbor Island. What was it? Because he doesn't want to go. We don't know why.
Yeah, he just looks nervous about it.
He tells his boss, he's like, I can't do that. And his boss, well, you better get your numbers up or you ain't going to have no job to, screw up at,
So this is when I started realizing some of the weird things about this movie. Okay. So we've seen a couple of things already.
Yes.
And seriously, I watched this movie back in an analytical form, taking notes on it, made me look at this movie in a completely different way. Okay, so fake news.
Yes.
It's all over the place. Okay, and I'm not talking about Donald Trump fake news. I'm talking about real fake news. Where news, they always are publishing stories and creating news programs in order to scare us or drive us in a direction.
Like Ebola, and then suddenly 2 weeks later, nothing. Nobody says anything about it. Yeah.
And so
wag the dog, basically.
Right, and we're already seeing that happen in this Truman world. And then the boss, he doesn't want to do this job where he has to go on a ferry to Harbor Island.
Right.
But the boss immediately threatens him with his job.
Right. Yeah.
So although we're in this fake world, it's not that far-fetched.
It's really not. There's a lot of commentary in here about not just that, but and it makes me sound like I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist, but consumerism in general. I mean, as far as I think that this movie, as far as reality TV and stuff like that is concerned, is more applicable today than it was back in 1998.
Yeah, it's a little ahead of its time.
Yeah, I agree.
In 98, I'm trying to think of what reality TV was really going on. I
Maybe
know
The Real World.
I know The Real World was definitely happening. Yeah. And I know Road Rules was happening.
Yeah.
It was an MTV kind of genre.
Right. I think you might have even had maybe some Amazing Race, or if not, it was right around the corner. Or Survivor, maybe.
No, well, Survivor just celebrated, I think it's 36th season.
Oh, yeah.
But they'll 18, do a couple. That's 18 years.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's not even at that point yet.
But it's close.
It is.
So maybe the people who wrote this film or who were in production of this film already knew that some of these programs were coming. I don't know.
Or the guys from Survivor saw it and they're like, hey, there you go.
That's a good idea.
That's a cheap show right there. Yeah. It actually does that a couple other times in the movie where I was watching it. I was like, wow, dude, you really predicted some crazy stuff here, He goes to the to this thing. He's going to take the ferry out to Harbor Island. And that's when I think with this movie, there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of off about Sea Haven Island in general. I've never seen, like, I've taken the ferry a couple of times to different places, like northern New York, and we went to Liberty Island in New York City and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I've never been on a ferry that was just like a little wooden pier that had, like, just a little turnstile that was made basically of 2x4s, and that never happened. Like, and in the water, he actually sees where there's, like, this little rowboat that's basically sunk, you know. And he starts freaking out, backs up, doesn't want any part of it.
Yeah, and he just doesn't do the job.
Yeah, he's done.
Doesn't get on the ferry.
Right.
And we don't know then, but what I just talked about kind of plays an effect in that scene. Because we don't know why he's so scared yet.
Right.
He's like shitting his pants, and we have no idea why he's freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes home, and his wife is there. What's her name?
Meryl.
Yeah, Meryl. Meryl's there, and she purchased the Chef's Pal.
The Chef's Pal. It dices, it slices, it
peels.
Peels. That's what it was. Yeah.
But it was like product placement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're not having a conversation about new kitchen utensils or anything. She just holds the stupid thing up, and he's, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like doing his yard work.
Right. Yeah. You get a good ass shot of Jim Carrey, by the way, in his stupid red shorts.
I think I might have seen more of Jim Carrey's ass than I've ever seen of any other actor's ass.
Michael Douglas. I've seen a lot of that dude's ass. He was in all those movies where you just saw butt constantly back in the 80s.
Yeah, but it wasn't like extreme close up.
No.
It didn't talk to you.
No, it didn't. That is true. He does have a talking ass.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think you ever actually see his ass, but you get like full frontal, full backle through close. Yeah. But anyway.
So then he goes and sees his buddy Marlon. And we get a beer commercial.
Yeah. Now that's a beer. Yeah. That's so lame.
He's holding the label perfect.
What was the name of the beer? I don't remember.
I don't know. It was in a black can.
Well, every time he'd hold it up, like his stupid thumb was in the way. And so I was like, well, you suck at this.
They're golfing down an abandoned highway.
Yeah, looks like they're building a bridge, just hitting golf balls down it, whatever.
He tells Marlon that he wants to go to Fiji.
Yeah.
And that bonus time is just around the corner.
Just around the corner. And he's like, well, when are you going to go? And he's like, he said, well, I don't know, I got to save up money and stuff. And that's when Marlon's like, oh, okay, yeah, I got you, And no, I'm going to go, all that stuff. But you can, going back, if you've seen the movie more than once, you can pick up that Marlon basically is trying to get a feel for his mental state at this point, see where he's at. As far as his plans to travel go, he's trying to feel him out, I think.
Well, and as you go on too, you find out like everything is built around steering
yes.
Truman.
It's kind of like a magician, they call it feeding a card basically, and that's exactly what this is they're trying to like incept ideas into this guy's head, basically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we find out why he's so scared of the water.
Yep.
He was sailing with his dad
when he was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, in the sea. He's
a little flashback.
Yeah, he's about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, their little sailboat gets into a bad storm. His
dad's like, we got to go back.
Yeah.
No, I want to go.
Yeah. Truman's begging Dad to stay out longer, and Dad was like, okay.
Right.
And he dies.
He does. And once again, I think that there's some inception going on there too, because obviously at this point they know that Truman's really pumped about being on this boat, and so basically Dad encouraging him to go back and then later conceding that, yeah, okay, we can stay out here further. That gives Truman more of a guilt complex, because he feels as though, well, it was my idea to stay out here. Yeah. And so Dad died.
He killed his dad in the water, so he's terrified of the water.
Right. What is it?
That happened while he was sitting on a beach.
Yes.
Looking out over the ocean at night, and then it starts raining on him.
Yes.
But just on him.
Just on him. The moon looks really strange out there too. Like you can tell that there's something up with this moon, but
it's the only moon he knows.
Right. Exactly. Starts raining on him. He gets up and walks over to the side, and the rain follows him over. And then it all starts raining. But he thinks that this is really cool,
Yeah. He's like, woohoo!
Yeah.
He goes home, sees Meryl. She's looks like she's making a nursery of some sort.
They have this weird room where it's basically all just studs and insulation, it looked like to me.
But she's looking at wallpaper.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I'm just gonna throw this out there because Mike always you give me shit all the time because you say that like I hate the female characters in all the movies and stuff like that, and I think that they're
apart.
all lame. I'm gonna say I hate Meryl, but I think that she's really effective, and all whatever you say, like haterness aside, like I think that Laura Linney's great, and I think she's a great character, and I freaking hate her guts.
Well, you're supposed to not like Meryl,
right? Yeah,
but typically you say like you could throw that part out. Right. We don't even need that.
Meryl's not that way at all.
No, she's pretty instrumental in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he tells her about Fiji and how they can just go now, but she wants a baby.
I can scrape together $8,000 real fast, and we can just go for a year. And she's like, "Oh, okay, that's stupid."
Yeah. And she's like, "Don't you want a baby? That's an adventure too." And he's like, "That can wait." And she's like, "You're all wet. Why don't you go to the room and take your clothes off?"
Yeah.
She alludes to sex. Mm-hmm. And that's from the first time we get to see like viewers.
Yes.
Commentary on what they're watching. It's a couple security guards. Looks like they work in a parking garage.
Yeah. They don't ever do anything.
Yeah, that's what the cops say.
They show them several times, and they just watch TV.
But the security guards say that about the sex scene. Like they never show us anything. You just see like some curtains blowing in the wind.
They'll turn up the music, and and that's about it. So this is another thing that I found interesting. So this woman, Hannah McGill, that plays Meryl, essentially, I consider her to be a prostitute in this case.
She's an actress.
She is an actress, but she's basically making a living off of feeding this guy fake emotion and giving him sex and stuff like that. You know, like I call it prostitute, and I'm not judging anybody, but. That's one more thing, though, that basically, to Truman, this is a very real relationship, and for her, it's a job.
Yeah, but no, she says it's her life. If you remember at the very beginning of the movie,
she does.
She said, "This is my lifestyle. Like, this is what I do. Truman is my life."
Yeah, she's still a prostitute, in my opinion. She's basically getting paid to get it on with Truman.
You had to get it in there. You had to tear her down somehow, didn't you?
If you're a prostitute, go do your thing, man. I'm not judging nobody.
And moving on.
Right.
He is walking to work, and he sees. He's already drove to work, and he's walking to work.
In the square.
And he sees a disheveled man.
Right.
And he makes the man like kind of follows Truman around, and he's like, "Dad?"
Yeah.
And promptly, people like break out of the scene and just rush this dude out of there and throw him on a bus.
People coming out of nowhere to grab this dude, throw him on a bus, and then they take off. One of the guys has a dog that he's like walking, and you see the dog later on just walk by.
And it's funny because like as Truman's chasing these people that have who he thinks is his dad,
right?
He has to like beat every obstacle. Like bicycle riders just riding in front of him, cars stopping in front of him, jogger pack.
Right.
Like it's
all he's like trying to run through these guys that are running in like a formation basically.
Yeah. And so like there's all these different obstacles that he has to get in. So that's when, like I said, watching it this time, I watched it in a completely different way. I may not even notice those obstacles before.
Right.
Because in chase scenes there's always obstacles.
Right.
Right. But like
he's the only one having the obstacle.
This is a coordinated effort.
Right. Yes. It's meticulous, like a machine, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, he bought another fashion mag.
Yes.
So yeah.
For the wife.
Mm-hmm. He always says for the wife. She never gets them.
No.
What is it though? He goes and he tells his mom about seeing her or his dad. And mom's like, "Oh, that's bogus," you know. She's like, "I thought I saw him at the supermarket last week, you know, and all this other stuff. And I was hugging a perfect stranger, and you didn't really see him. It's, she basically shrugs him off
and blames him for killing his dad.
Right. I don't blame you for your father dying.
Well, she says like, you had to be out there on that boat.
Right.
But I never blame you.
Right. Some passive aggressive stuff there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some moms are really good at that. Fortunately, mine's not one of them. But
some of them are pros at it.
Oh yeah, like Everybody Loves Raymond type stuff.
Right.
But yeah. So he, I think honestly, whenever that happens, the whole dad thing is honestly kind of the catalyst for the rest of the movie. I want to say, because it's right after this that Truman goes down to his basement and he's like going through this old trunk and he's looking through his dad's photos And then he starts finding some other stuff that like it makes him think about some stuff, and then that causes him to like do some discovery about stuff that's been going on, and basically leads to the rest of the movie, essentially. You know? Yeah.
I could agree with that. Mm-hmm. Meryl comes down there while he's looking through this trunk and says, "I made macaroni."
All right.
Yeah. Cool.
Not hungry. Yeah. It's great, and that's once again a thing where they're basically he's in the middle of doing something, but the producers do not want him to go through and investigate this thing further, and so they're causing interruptions and stuff,
distractions, sidetracks. But he okay, I'll be there in a minute type of thing.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the trunk and he pulls out a sweater.
Yes.
And we cut to another viewership
flashback.
It's
they're in the bar.
It's some waitresses in a place called the Truman Bar.
Mm-hmm.
And they even have like this counter above the television set that they watch the TV on, where they say
10,910 days.
Okay.
At this point,
so and they flip it over for how many consecutive days they've been playing the Truman Show.
Right.
And when he picks up the sweater, one waitress says to the other, they could get rid of her, but he can't make her forget.
Right.
So we don't know what she said means, but we do find out pretty quick.
Yeah, they do. I do like in the movie that they don't. You're not trying to pick up all the pieces at the end. They pretty much like walk you through it, which I could see. Some people maybe find it annoying, but at the end of the movie, I'm like trying to figure out all the loose ends and how they tie together, and they don't make you do that in this movie. So
no, it's so strange because in my memory of the movie, I felt like it was this big like twist at the end. But really. It's not a twist at all.
No, it's a little triumph type deal, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So the flashback, it shows him and Marlon, and they were basically, from what I could tell, in like a marching band.
College marching band.
Yeah.
Like Sea Haven State.
Oh, was that it?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much lame stuff. Sea Haven State, and then they have, later on they talk about Sea Haven Tonight. Like it's, like an Entertainment Tonight type deal.
Almost as the whole world is Sea Haven.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting here like, geez, this sounds so boring.
But if it's all you know.
Yeah, exactly. He has nothing to compare it to,
Mm-hmm.
So. Anyway, in this flashback, he's over there messing around with the marching band, looks over at this one girl, the Sylvia or Lauren, if you will, character. We don't know her name yet, but they're basically making little googly eyes at each other. Marlon, once again, is trying to interrupt him by, like, blowing the trumpet in his ear.
Directly in his ear. Terribly played.
I would have told that dude to fuck off. I would have knocked that trumpet out of his hand.
I don't know how he's in a college marching band because he can't play that fucking trumpet.
Awful, dude. But
then Meryl, like, falls into him.
Yeah, once again.
So we see how they meet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're forcing this relationship on him, and so then we get to see later on they're at some kind of dance.
Yeah, it's a dance.
I guess
some type of school dance.
They don't do college dances, do they?
I mean, that college.
I never went to college, but I sometimes went. I guess never went to a dance.
Just graduated from tech school.
We didn't have dances. Me and 19 other guys. It was romantic, let me tell you. Everybody smelled like grease and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, but there's a dance there.
Yes.
And he's dancing with Meryl.
Mm-hmm.
But he spots this mystery woman.
His little cupcake again.
Yeah, and so he starts making eyes at her. So, he's really obvious about it, too.
Yeah.
Not slick at all.
Because Meryl's trying to, like, do all sorts of... And he is paying no attention to her while he's dancing with her, basically. But he didn't care about that.
Yeah, every time they, like, do a spin, he, like, whips his head back to where he sees this girl.
Yeah. And so then I thought that this was kind of strange because you see like this group of guys like go around and like basically drag her off of out of the dance floor.
The dance,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
If I was at a dance and all of a sudden I was making eyes at this girl and a crowd of dudes come out of there and it looks like she doesn't want to go with them or whatever, I would intervene. I think
at least be like, hey,
what's going on here?
Yeah. This is weird.
Hey, why don't you leave her alone? But anyway,
he just goes back to dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Then we see they're studying at a library, and it's Marlon and Meryl and Truman, and they're all just kind of BSing. But Truman's actually trying to study for the finals. They take off and leave. They wanted to go do something with him, but he said he had to study. And then he notices the little hand on the other side of the partition from where he's studying, It's the little bracelet that his not girlfriend was wearing.
Right. This mystery woman that we've seen through all the flashbacks is... In all the flashbacks, she had this bracelet on, and now this hand has the same bracelet on.
Right.
So he goes to her.
Yes. He basically... I thought it was interesting because he's like, konnichiwa? And she's like, do what now? He's like, you take Japanese? She's like, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot. Mm-hmm. And so he's trying to basically set up a deal where they can go out, do something, and she keeps shooting him down. And
he's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yeah. And finally she writes down on her piece of paper, she's like, now,
And she whispers into his ear, she's like, we have to go now, or they won't happen.
Right. If we don't go now, it's not going to happen, yeah. And then we see where they basically, they were walking out of the library together.
With the group.
Right. Mm. And then she manages to evade the camera. And I don't think he knew what was going on, obviously, at that point. He's just following her. Mm-hmm. They go out to the beach. And
they sprint to the beach.
Yeah.
Like far.
All in balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. After they run out to the beach or whatever, he's just kind of being flirtatious. All of a sudden, a car shows up. And what is it that he says? Yeah, they do kiss. What is it? The car arrives. She basically sees this car show up, and she actually starts to try to tell him what's going on. She says, none of this is real. Everything that you see is focusing around you. You're part of a TV show and all this other stuff.
But he's not paying attention to what she's saying, really.
Right.
Because he's distracted by this guy who just pulled up.
Yeah.
In this little bitty station wagon hatchback thing.
Right.
By the way, I want to know what kind of car this is, because it just drove over a sand dune and across the beach to get her. And then after the scene goes down, he drives back out of the beach and back up over the sand dune with this little bitty car.
Didn't get stuck at all.
Badass little car.
Yes. I did that pipeline job. Something like that would have been fantastic out there.
Yeah, right?
She actually tells him that her name is not Lauren, that her name is Sylvia. And so there's this guy that hops out of the car. He basically grabs her up. Those are in the passenger side.
Says, I'm her father. She's got schizophrenia. She does this with all her boyfriends.
Yeah, she drags all the guys out here. You're not the first one. Yeah. And then she's like, that's not my dad. I've never seen this dude before.
But she's still got in the car.
Right, yeah.
And then as he's driving away, he says to Truman, we're moving to Fiji.
Yeah.
And now we know why Truman's so fucking obsessed with Fiji.
Right.
It ain't for their water.
Right. And basically he's taking all the bits and pieces from all the fashion magazines and compiling a composite of her face in this little picture frame that he has.
Well, we see that at the very end of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a picture of his wife, Meryl. Right. He flips it over and takes the back off, and it's this, like you said, like a collage. Yeah. He's trying to recreate her face. Yeah. He's doing a pretty decent job.
I'm not gonna lie, it looked pretty good to me. I wonder why the producers would allow him to continue to make that.
That's the things about the show about the movie. The only little things that I would nitpick the show about is you see this kind of stuff. Wouldn't you just when he's at work one day, get in there, just take the picture out?
Right. Oh, we got broken into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he would just be like, what the hell? I must be going crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Little stuff like whenever
sweater.
At the beginning. Oh, yeah, the sweater, good example. At the beginning, whenever he calls Fiji directory assistance, he's like, I need directory assistance for Fiji. I would just make the line go dead, if it were me.
No, but they had an actor pretending that they were the Fiji directory assistants.
Yeah, that's true too.
So.
And yeah, that's fair enough because they didn't have any listings for either one of them. But yeah, there's little stuff in there that I'm like, I would definitely have intervened, But there's a lot more of that later on.
House fire.
Right.
We got to move next door.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Oh, we saved everything except for your stupid trunk. Yeah.
Yeah. So little things like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, the tricks that they have in this movie of moving around is so clever. The camera angles, by the way, I just want to mention, they use a lot of really creative camera angles.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you're watching it.
Right.
As on TV. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so they do some really cool stuff.
You'll see, there's little subterfuge. You can tell that the camera's on a shelf with a little something like a book in front of it or something like that, so he wouldn't notice it, in real life or whatever.
Well, even in that library scene that we just talked about, you literally see someone move a book out of the way,
pull the book off the shelf,
so that the camera can look through the bookshelf at the scene. So it's pretty good.
He takes off the next morning to go to work, and all of a sudden his radio starts acting up.
Yeah, you can hear production talking.
Yeah,
and they're calling out his movements.
He Lancaster Square. Yeah,
and he looks up at Lancaster Square sign and make sure the coffee's hot.
Yeah.
And naming off all his movements.
He accidentally almost hits this woman. He's like, "Oh my God, they almost hit her!" You know, and all this stuff. And so it's at this point, really, I think that whole like him remembering what Lauren or Sylvia, whatever her name was, I think that whole his memory of that conversation is starting to manifest itself now, where he is starting to doubt things. And then the radio thing happened, and so he's like, wait, this is kind of strange, you know. And so then basically things start to fall into place for him, you know.
He definitely seems really paranoid. I mean, for valid reasons. As a movie watcher, you totally get why he's so paranoid.
Right.
He decides not to go into work.
Yeah, he starts picking up on clues. He doesn't go to work.
And he just sits on a bench and like watches people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was the biggest hints for him really start to show up. Like, these people are doing very specific things.
Right.
Starting to realize, like, I've seen that dude in the maroon suit every day.
Yeah, exactly. Or these people are always sitting here drinking coffee every morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. He gets up to go walk, and then his bus almost hits him. But it's really kind of strange, because whenever it almost hits him, like, it's not like it screeches to a stop, basically. You know, it just stops exactly where it should have in order for him to not die, basically. He kind of like holds his hand up a little bit to, you know, and then he like walks further into traffic, and then this car manages to avoid him too, you know, like everybody's watching him, basically, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he runs into Omniplex building. I think it's called Omniplex.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He runs in there. I don't know why he picked that building, but he just runs in there.
Yeah.
He sees some people trying to get in the elevator. Security try to stop him, but he's able to like kind of get in the elevator.
Yeah.
And he sees backstage basically.
Yeah, he does. It's pretty crazy.
He sees like a crafts table with like donuts and cookies.
Yeah, there's
on
this
it.
guy sitting like a director's chair, you know.
There's people doing costume changes.
Yeah. And that's what he's like. You know, what is it? He says, they're like, oh no, there's we're remodeling. This is what they tell him, you know. And they're like, you're not supposed to be in here. And like, and then he's like, I'll report you. And it was a pretty funny little exchange there, you know. Yeah. Basically, they're trying to cover their ass, you know.
But I like, and throughout this movie, a couple of other instances where he does things that would be like punishable by law.
Yeah.
But because he's the star of the show, they just set him on his way.
Right, yeah, go on, get out of here, you know. I like where he smacks the dude in the butt with his briefcase.
What?
Whenever he's leaving, there's this guy that's up on a ladder, and he's messing around like painting or something. He grabs his briefcase and smacks him right in the butt before he walks off.
I must have been like,
and the guy just goes right back to painting. It's pretty great.
I must have been looking down, like taking notes, so I didn't notice that at all.
It's pretty funny.
And then he goes and talks to Marlon, who happens to be delivering snacks like nearby.
Yeah.
Just happens to be there.
He fills vending machines, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He drives a weird looking little truck, buggy thing.
The goodies truck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Looks strange to me, but...
That's what all vending machine delivery guys drive.
You're a liar. I would have noticed that.
In Sea Haven, that's what they all drive.
I guess so. He goes to Marlon. He basically, the whole thing boils down to that he thinks that he's being followed, but he doesn't know by who or what exactly is going on. He convinces Marlon to go with him. He's like, we got to get out of here. And he's doing little stuff, like he'll go through and like clap his hands and then like see if anybody did anything noticeable, and nobody like reacts at all.
Yeah. As they walk out the stores, all right, Marlon, great idea. It's not your birthday every day, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Birthday comes but once a year. There was a weird deal, I thought, with that, because later on they talk about birthdays. His mom does, and I was like, I wonder if that has what the deal is there. But I guess we'll get to that in a minute. So he goes and do what?
Him and Marlon go to a beach.
Yeah.
And they're drinking beer.
Right.
I feel like Marlon is the spokesperson for the brand of beer at this point.
I agree.
Every time we see Marlon, he's got that 6-pack of beer with him.
Yeah. Never a 12-pack. I know that if I had this dude that I hung out with all the time, he's like, yeah, I'll bring the beer, and he came over with a 6-pack every damn time, I would be pissed off.
Well, responsible adults only drink a couple.
Well, I guess that's not me.
We bring 30 racks.
Right. In an hour, yeah.
Each one of us bring a 30 rack.
Right.
I can eat your 30 rack, I got my 30 rack.
It sounds like we're joking.
We're not joking.
Really not. No. I mean, we have accountability for other people that maybe didn't bring theirs, but for the most part, yeah, we plan on putting a pretty big dent in that thing, you know, so. Anyway,
Marlon brings up the fact, Truman asks him about, like, when you were out delivering.
Did you ever go off the island?
Yeah, you went all over the place, right? And Marlon says, yeah, but I've never found a place like
Nowhere
this.
like this, yeah.
I mean,
look at that sunset.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Owe me a Coke.
I'm buying you a damn Coke.
Then we cut to his mom's.
Looking at photos with Meryl and Mom and all that, yeah. What's weird though is, so they're looking at photos and they show like of him at Mount Rushmore. It's so lame.
It's like it's smaller than I think.
Yeah, Mom flips the page real quick. Oh, it always is, you know, yeah. And she says little stuff in there like, you slept the whole ride there, you know, and all this other crap, you know, so obviously you never actually
from the coast of South Dakota, he slept the whole ride there.
Yeah. That's like a 30-hour drive. Didn't wake up once.
Nope.
If you are on a ride and your kid sleeps for 30 hours straight, you need to go see a doctor.
Yeah, you might want to pull over.
Yeah, that guy is having problems. He might have a diabetic coma going or something. I don't know. So anyway, it's right after that basically Meryl says, well, we got to take your mom home, whatever. And of course, Mom's talking about having grandbabies. Everybody keeps bringing up wanting him to conceive a child with Meryl constantly. And from what I read, actually, in the original script, what they were going to do is have a child of Truman and then basically kill him off and then basically start a different show that was going to be about his child. Sequel. But they didn't go there with it, yeah. But anyway, that's whenever Mom says a certain person's birthday, or we have a certain person's birthday to discuss, because Truman offers to drive her home. Meryl's like, no, I got it, you know, don't worry about it. I guess they might, because his birthday is in 48 days, they might just be talking about his. I thought it was weird, though, that he talks to Marlon, and he's like, yeah, your birthday comes but once a year, and then right after that, Mom's like, a certain birthday, or a certain person's birthday we have to discuss.
Well, I think that birthday comes just but once a year. I think he was
just trying to make a scene.
Yeah, he was trying to pretend like something else was going on.
Yeah.
To see if he could get a reaction. Mm-hmm. But Mom and Meryl, in my opinion, were definitely going to talk about Truman's birthday.
Yeah, in like a month and a half, whatever.
It's his 30th birthday is coming up. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty big deal in most people's lives, so I'm assuming that's what they were talking about.
Right.
But he keeps looking through the photo album, and he gets to the wedding photos, and he realizes that in one of the photos where he's kissing Meryl, she's got her fingers crossed.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Like it, I think fingers crossed, like doesn't just mean like, oh, I hope this happens. I think it also means this doesn't count.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Remember when you were like a little kid?
Yeah.
And you're like, I promise.
Like, I promise, and then you got your fingers behind your back.
Yeah. And so like this promise doesn't count.
Why would she do that though?
Because she's an actress.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna be flipping through photos, you want it to be authentic, I guess. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of strange. But maybe you're onto something.
I mean, I don't know if I'm right.
I think you probably are. I just think it's kind of weird, but
definitely weird.
Yeah.
So he goes home. Or wait.
Next morning,
yeah.
Yeah, and he's messing around with this weird radio thing that's the big ball-looking deal that has the antenna, like.
And he made her some coffee.
Yeah. And she talks about how there is this elevator accident where like this elevator like plunged to the bottom level of this building.
Right next to where you were.
Yeah.
Imagine if you would have been there.
Right.
And I was just like, man, dude, they use this whole, everything is to steer him in whatever direction they want him to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're feeding him a card, you know, forcing.
But at this point, he ain't buying it.
Right. Yeah, he knows she's full of shit.
Yeah, so he follows her to his wife to the hospital on bicycles, by the way.
Oh, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Oh, yeah. He hits her with, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
She shoots him a look like, okay.
What's that mean?
Yeah, right. So he follows her on the bike to the hospital. This is one of the best scenes of the movie, in my opinion. I love it.
The hospital scene?
Yeah. Especially, so he goes to the hospital. There's this woman that's like an orderly that's there. He's like, I need you to leave a message for my wife Meryl. He says, I'm going to Fiji and I'll call her as soon as I can. And so this woman's like, okay, you know. And so the woman, he acts like he's leaving. The woman goes the other way, and then he takes off back down into the hospital, you know.
Now he's following her.
Right. There's the one part where the guy has like all the medical supplies or whatever on the rack. That like he's trying to like go around the guy and he keeps blocking him down in the hallway and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Truman just like flings the rack down the hall.
Let me help. Yeah. Just throws it. Yeah.
He finds the operating room that his wife is supposed to be operating in. Yeah. And this is really cool. I'll let you talk. I know you like it.
Well, so it's funny because there's this doctor, supposedly a doctor, and he's noticeably nervous about because they know that Truman's watching this procedure.
Well, the doctor says, like, he's here.
Yeah. And so all these people are just, like, standing there. They don't know what to do, you know. The doctor asks for a scalpel. He goes to, like, make this incision right above the knee. And the person that's supposed to be, like, incapacitated on the table is, like, starts, like, jerking and flinching.
She just jumps up.
Yeah. Does he actually do the incision, or does she, like, freak out right before he does?
She jumps up, and then I think he fakes an incision.
Yeah.
And, like, Meryl is like, you're doing a wonderful job, doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, just great. And then the security guy comes over and, like, pulls the blinds
You don't want to
down.
watch this. Yeah.
And, like, so he just snuck back to an area of the hospital he's not supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And the cop or security just pulls the blinds down and ushers him on out and sends him on his way again. They never ask Truman any questions because they know what's going on.
Right.
And, like, Truman just skips through life.
Yeah. That, to me, would be kind of refreshing. Like,
No one ever
once you
fucks
have
with
it figured out, like, I don't have to go to work. Like, I'm just going to sit here and play with myself all day.
I can just fucking tell the producer, like, I want a new wife.
Right, yeah.
I don't like this one no more.
Yep, that's it. I know he's anxious to leave and see the real world by the end of the movie. But for me, being on the other side, yeah, give me that, you know?
Yeah, but you would be thinking you're going crazy.
Oh, yeah. That there's something up, you know?
I mean, this is what we call schizophrenics.
Right.
They...
Yeah. And they try to convince him he's crazy.
They literally go through this kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you would be thinking you're losing your fucking mind.
Right.
And you think you're right the whole time, but you would be thinking you're losing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But he heads to a travel agency.
I love the posters.
Yeah, there's a, like... it's an airplane getting hit by lightning, and it says, this could happen to you.
Right.
All the other posters in there are about cruises.
Right.
Because they have a C.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't fly.
Right, don't fly.
He's got this suitcase that looks like a giant lunchbox.
Like this plaid-looking thing.
It's metal.
It's weird, man.
And he's like, I want a flight to Fiji.
She's, we don't have anything for a month. She comes in, she's got a napkin underneath her shirt, like she's been backstage eating donuts off the craft table or whatever.
Because he never goes to travel agency.
Right, she doesn't expect to be doing anything that day.
Yeah.
And he says, we don't have anything for a month. He's like, whatever, I'll figure something out. And so leaves.
Gets on a bus to go to Chicago.
Another fail.
The fucking bus driver just starts grinding gears back and forth until the bus breaks.
Fucks that transmission up, dude.
Get off the bus, folks.
I think it's interesting because there's a little girl on the bus. She sees Truman hop on. She looks back. She's like, "Hey, Mom, isn't that?" And then Mom like pulls her aside real quick, you know?
Like, shut up.
Yeah. And so anyway, what I really like though is how after the bus driver fucks the bus up, basically he's like, there's a problem with the bus, everybody off. Nobody has a bad word to say about it. They all single file, like stand up, grab their bag, and march off the bus. You know?
And Truman's just sitting in the bus seat like, what the fuck?
This is bullshit, yeah.
Even the bus driver, who's an actor, he feels bad for Truman.
Right.
He just looks back and is like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I actually like the bus driver because of all the actors in this, he's the one that I feel like actually has some type of remorse about what's going on, you know?
Well, we get to see that again in a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
So Meryl and Truman... Oh, Truman's sitting in the car when Meryl gets home from work.
Yeah, by himself.
Yeah.
Doing nothing.
So Meryl's like, what the fuck, Truman? And he's like, watch this.
Yep. He says that there's a pattern. He's been looking in his rearview mirror. There's a pattern to the people that are like going by in the neighborhood.
They're just doing loops.
Yeah. There's a lady on a red bike, a man with flowers, and then a Volkswagen Beetle
with a dented fender.
Right. And so he's sure enough, all these things play out. And he's like, they're just walking around in this big circle all day. And so anyway, he decides that that's when Meryl tries to steer him once again. She's like, I invited over Marlon and, you know, all these guys. And he's like, I'm not going to be here for your stupid dinner, you know.
And then she says to him, like, okay, fine. You can go to Fiji. You just save some money.
Save up for a couple months.
Several months, and then you can go to Fiji. Is that better?
Right.
He's like, let's go now.
Yeah.
This is where I would like to do this week's fast forward.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. So he throws the car in reverse, peels on out of there, and he goes to this like roundabout where he just like is doing donuts, and they're having this commentary back and forth, and she's telling him that he's going crazy and they just need to go home, and he's like, nope, we're going somewhere, and she's like, well, we can't go to Fiji. He's like, well, we obviously can't drive to Fiji, but we'll figure out where we're going. How about Atlantic City? But Truman, you hate to gamble. I know. And then he makes this turn out of the traffic circle, and boom, all these cars rush in and cause this crazy traffic jam. And she was like, let's just go home. And he's like, you're right. So he backs on out of there and goes back to the traffic circle, starts doing circles again. He's like, how about to New Orleans? Mardi Gras. Like, this is where we start to see some of that Jim Carrey classic, like, physical humor come out. And he goes back down the same road. And he's like, look, no traffic. Weird. So then they get to a bridge, and he stopped there, and she's like, you know you don't drive over water? He's like, I know. And then he just hammers the gas, puts her hand on the steering wheel, and says, drive. And she does a terrible job, but they somehow make it across the bridge, and they both seem kind of relieved that they made it across the bridge. And then there's this big sign that says, caution, forest fires. And she's like, what about the sign? And then this flamethrower like shoots a big flame across the road. He drives right through it, and there's cars full of smoke, and he's like, don't worry about it. And they just keep going. And then it's nuclear emergency ahead, and they come to nuclear meltdown, and there's guys in silver nuclear suits everywhere, and the cops are like, you can't go any further. This is very dangerous. And Truman just gets out of the car and beats feet into the woods. And now he's being chased by all these like spacemen. And they finally tackle him down to the ground, bring him back to the house, and say, don't let it happen again, man.
That's basically... Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
The only other thing I would add to that is that whenever the cops stop him at the power plant, and he's like, well, thanks anyway. And he's like, you're welcome, Truman. Like that.
Yeah.
The cop had realistically have no idea what his name was. But other
Very
than that,
good point that I left out.
Yeah, you aced it, though.
Thanks, thank you.
We'll give you a B+. Maybe A.
But basically, he went through all these, like, obstacles.
Yeah, just to get cock blocked at the very end,
By a bunch of dudes in aluminum suits.
It kind of made me wonder, so obviously this fabricated world that they have set up, it made me wonder how far it actually goes, because there's obviously land on the other side and stuff, you know. I don't know how much further he really could have gone before he got stopped, you know.
I think that was pretty much the
I think that was it, yeah.
Like, fuck, we have to stop him now.
Right, this is do or die time. So yeah, the cops bring him home. Him and Meryl get it. He's sitting there. He's like, why do you want to have a baby with me? You can't stand me. And she's like, I don't know about that. She's like, why don't you try some cocoa? You know,
who are you talking to?
What does that have to do with anything? Yeah. And so
it's grown on the mountains of Nicaragua.
Yeah, the mountains of Nicaragua. He's like, who are you talking to? Yeah. That's such a great scene. Basically he's following her around the kitchen, kind of like trying to interrogate her almost. And that's whenever she grabs that stupid slicer, dicer, peeler thing, you know.
He's like, are you going to dice me? Are you going to slice me? Or are you going to peel me, Meryl?
So many options, yeah. And he grabs it out of her hand, has her around the neck, basically.
Well, he grabs her, if you watch the scene, because at first I was like, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But if you look at it really, he like grabs her by the hand of the knife, and it spins around so that it's almost at her throat, but with the other hand, he's pulling it out of her hand.
Oh, okay.
So he's not
holding her hostage.
Right, yeah. He's not trying to hurt her, but he pulls it out of his hand, and just then Marlon busts in the door with a six-pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But right before that, she says, do something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's whenever I was watching the movie the first time I remember that scene. I was like, oh, man, she just blew it hard, you know, except way out of character.
And even when Marlon comes in, she, like, rushes to him, and she's, like, crying. She's like, oh, thank God. And then she says, like, how am I supposed to work in this kind of environment?
It's unprofessional.
Yeah.
All that shit, yeah. So, yeah, I put Marlon intervenes. He's got that stupid six-pack. Nobody wants to drink 6 beers. It's bullshit. But, so yeah, they go out onto the stupid bridge that's under construction. I don't know if they're actually... I would assume that the thing's been under construction since Truman was a kid. I would only assume.
I think it's just a way you can't get out of town.
Right, exactly. So yeah, he basically goes through... Marlon does his best to try to convince Truman that there's no kind of conspiracy, that, you know, there's nothing that anybody's in on. He's like, because if, you know, everybody was in on it, I'd have to be in on it too. And, you know, I'm not, because there's no it, you know, basically trying his damnedest to
I would never lie to you.
Yeah.
Well, this is where the makers of the film decide to let us in on how intricate the maneuvering of this cast really is.
Yeah, we see behind the curtain basically here.
Yeah, so we're up in the moon room, and
you see Kristoff.
Kristoff, thank you.
Yeah.
Kristoff is actually feeding lines to Marlon.
Yeah, he's got a headset. Marlon's got an earpiece.
Yeah.
Just every single line out of his mouth, Kristoff is feeding to him, tailor-made,
Right.
Yeah.
And the camera work is really good because it's like framed perfectly on each guy's face.
Right.
And you can tell like this is why this is their hangout spot, probably because they have like all these cameras set up just for them. And
There's like the construction equipment that has a camera on it.
crane cam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's for in the movie, we already knew that this was all production, but we really get to see just how much of a production.
Just how
is.
deep it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I thought, kind of weird too. So at the end of this whole thing, Marlon's like, "Oh, by the way, I found your dad."
Well, they do like a dad reveal.
Yeah, they do.
Because he's like, and the reason we're out here, Truman, and he like looks over his shoulder, and here comes Dad walking out of the fog.
Yeah. So I found your dad, and all this other. I don't even think they said where he found him, but or how that happened at all.
No,
But,
they
yeah.
explain it to us right after this.
Right.
Yeah.
But basically, it's supposed to bring this whole incident in his childhood to a close, basically, because I think that they realize at this point that he's not as intimidated with water as they thought. The only question that I have about that, so right after this, there's an interview with Kristoff and the Harry Shearer character.
Yeah, it's called True Talk.
True Talk, yes. But my question was, so they actually talk about how the guy that was the actor that played Truman's dad infiltrated the show, but then they brought him back on, which I thought was kind of strange.
I think they felt like they kind of had to.
Because he'd seen him.
Right.
Obviously, yeah. So we got to explain this somehow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
And they said the same thing you said.
Right.
Like you said that it felt like that was the kickoff point for
Right.
like his freaking
like the
out.
catalyst for his
Right.
childhood
And
trauma.
That's
whatever.
the same thing Kristoff said. Is that this all started when he saw his dad.
Right.
So hopefully seeing his dad and reintroducing his dad to his
Kinda
life can finish
put
this.
it to a close, yeah.
Right. And the way we're introduced to this interview is with Sylvia. Oh, wait, I want to talk about the production of the dad scene real quick.
Okay.
So they embrace and they like Kristoff is like directing camera pans and like zoom in, zoom out stuff.
Yeah.
Heavier with the fog, and he's
Right.
conducting this
Bring the
piano
music
player.
volume,
bring it
yeah.
up, bring it up, bring it up. Now zoom in, and it's a zoom in on pictures
Right.
on Truman's face, and he's just crying his eyes out.
Right. I've waited so long to see you. Yeah, and all
And
this
we
crap.
see all the viewers that we've been watching throughout this movie are like crying with them.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy.
Really melodramatic.
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
say.
like a soap opera.
Really bad TV if you're watching it from
But
home.
it's real.
Right. And to Truman, it's very real, you know, so yeah.
So the only person who's watching the show that's not very happy is Sylvia.
Sylvia is not.
And she is getting ready to start watching True Talk.
What I think is interesting about Sylvia, so obviously she doesn't like the Truman Show. She disagrees with basically everything about the show. But she still watches. You're still like ratings, you know?
Yeah. And you were on the cast.
Yeah. They go through with this interview with Kristoff, and they really kind of lay everything out. What's going on, the history behind the show.
He was selected from one of 5 different orphans or unwanted pregnancies. They said.
Right.
He was born 2 weeks premature, which made it perfect timing.
So this is the question that I had. So they talk about how many cameras there are. They said about 5,000 cameras on Sea Haven Island. And they said, but it all started with one camera. Okay, so first of all, are people really sitting around and watching this baby being formed in the womb?
That's what they lead us to believe.
Right, because I could put up with maybe 3 minutes of that, and I'm out, you know? Secondly, my other question was, so if it was between him and 4 other candidates, was there really just one camera? Because they obviously showed at that point that there was, you know, footage of him in the womb, that there was a single camera that it started out with, as they said. So how did it come about that they recorded him in the womb if they weren't even sure that he was going to be the star of the show?
Yeah, I think you caught a flaw in the writing.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. I think they just kind of did it for narrative stuff.
Right.
But, yeah.
They talk about how they were there for his birth. They were there for his first step. They were there for
the stolen first kiss and all that.
His
with
first day of school.
Yeah. And they actually at this point they allude to, like, once again they're forcing, you know, this thing on him where like he tells his teacher in school that he wanted to be an explorer, and she's, oh well, everything's basically been discovered. You know?
She pulls down a map of the globe and was like, see, everything's been found. There's nothing else to find.
You're wasting your time. And they couldn't come up with a way really to keep him on the island until they generated this whole thing with Dad.
Yeah, they explained that like the actor who plays the dad was like super upset,
really pissed
when he read that he was going to be killed off on the movie or the show.
Right. They talk about the other people that have infiltrated the show. There's one on Christmas, it looked like.
Yeah.
Like, but I want to the Truman Show. You know, and all this.
He like
You're on TV.
Pops out one of the fucking presents.
Right. And then Dad like tackles his ass.
Another guy like skydived in, which I don't get.
There's no sky.
They're in a dome. How did the skydiver get
Unless
in
he snuck in like through the top and there was some kind of catwalk up there or something. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
But it said, Truman, you're on TV.
Yeah.
On that dude's chest.
Right.
They show us some other ways that they've kept him on the island. Like one of the reasons why he's scared of the dog.
Yeah.
Because he went to cross the bridge and the dog was like this Rottweiler.
Nasty dog out there.
Like sitting there growling at him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what the other things were that kept him on.
There was that big old pile of rocks, and you can hear construction. I think they're actually still building the Sea Haven Island.
Yeah.
Back behind the big old pile of rocks, and his dad's like, Truman, don't go over there. And he's like, why? He's like, because it's not safe. Yeah. That was pretty much it. Yeah. So they go through. They talk about how Truman was the first child that was legally adopted by a corporation.
Right.
What's your opinion of that, Mike?
It's fucking crazy.
It's really insane, man. Like, and I'm not, Mr. Anti-capitalist, corporations are bad, but a company adopting a kid, that's not good at all, dude. That's not good for anybody.
It's crazy. Right. But Kristoff feels justified because he feels like he created the most perfect world that Truman could experience.
Yeah. He fails to see it the way Truman does.
Right.
But, yeah.
He says that it's the safest place ever. He doesn't have to deal with all the shit that everybody else has to deal with.
Yeah.
And then
they talk about product placement.
Oh, right.
Yeah. How
they don't do commercials.
Yeah. It runs 24 hours a day, so they have to slip in commercials basically into the show. And that's when you see, like, the twins would push him up against a sign, or Marlon's holding a beer, or it even showed at one point, like, he's sitting there, like, sipping coffee, and there's a little, like, news ticker at the bottom that's, like, basically an ad for the show.
It was the cocoa, and it was, like, grown on Mount Nicaragua.
Right.
Then they accept some phone calls.
Yeah.
So you get this mouth breather who asks how many cameras they have.
How many cameras you got there?
Yeah, that's a lot of cameras.
Sound like a fucking idiot.
And then we get another caller, and it's Sylvia. Who the fuck is screening these calls?
That's what I'm saying.
If there's like one person that we don't want to get through, it's Sylvia.
Right, yeah. Especially with this reclusive dude, Kristoff, that I'm sure has no desire to talk to her.
But he does talk to her.
He does. Surprise me.
Yeah. And that's where he gets into defending himself, because she says she's terrible, that they're using Truman, and he defends himself by saying like how perfect of a world he created, and the world that you live in is actually way worse.
That's the sick world where people do stuff to hurt each other and whatnot, yeah. And so, and then she says, and he says, if Truman really wanted to leave, there's nothing that we could do to stop him. And she's like, obviously he says Truman doesn't want to leave, and he accepts his reality for what it is, without ever questioning it. And she's like, well, you're wrong, and he's going to prove you wrong. Is basically how that scene concludes itself.
Yeah, and as we're fading out of the True Talk, he says, what I would like to reveal is that Meryl will be leaving Truman soon,
right,
and we'll be introducing a new love interest.
Right. And he wants to have the first on-screen conception of a child, which is crazy to me. Whatever. Yeah. I can only assume at that point that Meryl wanted off the show. And so basically, after that whole incident with Truman, that she was no longer interested in being there. And so they had to figure out a way to write her off.
Yeah. But, so we cut back to Truman.
Mm-hmm.
And Truman, I'm guessing this is the scene that you said was impromptu.
Yeah, where he's doing the mirror thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's talking back into the bathroom mirror, just like the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And this time he draws like a space helmet with like Martian.
It has a little antenna on it. And at first he's like looking into the mirror and he's like, hello? And the guys are in the lunar lounge or room or whatever, and they're like, this is a problem. Like, he's looking at the camera.
Is he talking to us?
Yeah.
And
then he does this whole stupid thing and like draws with soap and draws like a flag for the moon or whatever.
Trumania.
Of the Burbank Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that Truman, he's back to his old self.
Oh, what a goof off. Yeah. He says that one was free. I think that he basically has a plan going at this point, and he's just trying to play it like it's a regular day, you know.
But do you think that was like his clue to the audience? Like, I'm onto this shit.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they don't think, they're just happy he's back to normal.
Right.
You know?
Goes outside and does his old catchphrase.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah. Goes back to work and he's like making sales calls.
Yeah, making sales calls.
He's actually closing deals.
They introduce his little love interest,
Vivian.
Yeah, Vivian's good looking.
Fortunately, that's all we get to see of Vivian.
I know. It is too bad. I would have witnessed their conception if I could have. But
Jesus. How to make it creepy.
No, so yeah, he's kind of looking a little like he's interested in her and stuff like that, just like the producers would have wanted. And then basically we show later where he's down. They have like a night vision view of him down in the basement where one of the guys, the Paul Giamatti character, says that he was down there like moving his crap around in the basement, and then like at some point just like laid down and went to sleep, took a nap in the basement, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, he said he gave up.
Yeah. Give up on what? But
and then we see Christoph shows up and is like, "What the fuck? I should have known about this. I told you to report any."
If he's acting strange, then you need to tell me.
Like, he's just sleeping in the basement. He moved down there after Meryl left.
Right.
Like, we thought that was normal. And we find out, like, after some detective work, they check some of their cameras.
They rewind the video and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, they see a hand.
Right.
Although there's a shape of a body in the bed and it's snoring.
Right.
They see a hand where they're like, "Oh my god." Marlon.
He's out, yeah.
So they
send over Marlon with a 6-pack. Again. Yeah. Marlon goes downstairs, looks through the basement. Truman's not in the bed. It's this stupid Christmas snowman, yeah. And so he's looking around the basement. He goes over this closet, and the whole time Christoph's like, "Well, keep it playful, lighthearted stuff, you know." And
come out wherever you are.
I'm gonna find you. Yeah.
Weird as fuck.
Yeah. He opens his closet, and it turns out that Truman's tunneled up into his lawn. Basically, he's gone. You know.
Yeah, and then Marlon pops up out of the hole, like right in front of a camera.
Yeah. He's gone.
Yeah. Christoph's like, don't look at the camera, don't say anything. And he's like, but he's gone.
Yeah. Cut transmission.
Yeah, cut transmission. So we're back at the Truman Bar. After 10,913 days, they cut transmission.
Yeah. Everybody, like, audibly, like, gasps whenever they cut transmission. It's great.
There's this dude who we've seen throughout, like, one of the viewers. He's this guy in a fucking bathtub.
Yeah, weird dude.
And he gets really
He's got
pissed
the
off.
little tray thing going. Yeah.
Well, they have to do that to cover his dick.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
But he's always in the fucking bathtub.
Doesn't do shit but take baths all day.
Every time they show us, he's in the bathtub.
I can even understand the two little old ladies that are watching it, because they're probably retired.
In matching komodos?
Well, that's true. Fair enough. With their cat pillows and shit? No.
Truman pillows.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, cat pillows. I'm sorry, little old ladies. I did not mean to upset you. I like little old ladies, but not like that.
I think the lack of sleep is getting
Oh, man. I'm getting slap happy, brother.
So they send a search party out.
Everybody, like, arms across America, all the actors.
Yeah, they're all looking for Truman.
Yeah.
They search the whole square.
That Dalmatian goes apeshit.
Yeah, it's
that thing's
scary.
Fierce, dude.
Even like my dogs in the house when I was watching the movie, they were both looking at the TV like, "What is going on?
What is up with that dude?"
Yeah. So they're looking everywhere for him. They can't find him. They said they looked everywhere. Dark. Yeah, well, yeah. So it's when Christoph is like, "We're not going to be able to find him."
Right.
And they're like, "It's too early for that. Cue the sun."
Yeah.
This big ass bright ass sun just comes up over the top.
It's fantastic. It just from like an imagery standpoint, it looks great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Blinds everybody. They still can't find him, and then Christoph realizes we're not looking in the sea.
Right. Well, he has everybody jump to first positions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I like that too. Because I remember seeing that in the trailer, and it was really weird, man. Just like you could see the sun like moving, like casting a different shadow at a different angle or whatnot, and like nobody's moving. And that's when I was like, what is this movie about? You know? But yeah, Kristoff realizes that the one place they haven't been looking is the sea around the island. And so, what is it? He is on a sailboat. Yep. Truman is. He's like, Truman, where are you going?
Just like the one that his dad died in.
Yeah. Did you notice the name of the boat?
I did. And Santa Maria.
Santa Maria, yeah. I can't help but think that there's some sort of allusion there to like finding the new world or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But what is it? He has with him Sylvia's picture, the little collage that he put together.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess he thinks he's going to sail to Fiji.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Yeah, he has no idea where he's going. But
yeah, I'm gonna go to Fiji on my boat.
On my boat. So they try to get the ferry driver to go out there and pick him
the
up.
Bus driver,
right, with a stupid sailor hat on.
He just starts grinding gears to the boat. He's like, "I'm the bus driver."
They're like they're actors. They can't do this.
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty funny. Eventually, what they decide to do is try to scare him back to shore. And so they localize the storm over the boat with lightning and thunder and strong winds and whatnot.
Activate weather protocol.
Yeah. So it's right after that. So the wind starts picking up. At one point, he actually, I think, gets thrown off of the boat.
He does.
This point, yeah.
But he swims back.
Yeah.
They're all panicking, like, we can't have him die on TV.
Yeah, you can't kill this dude.
Kristoff's like, he was born on TV.
Do whatever I want, yeah. And so he manages to climb on back onto the boat, and he's like, is that the best you got? You're going to have to kill me. Is basically what he tells Kristoff. And that's when I think Kristoff gets pissed. Mm-hmm. And he cranks it up to 10 as far as the storm goes. Did you notice on their shirts, it said, love him, protect him.
The security guards?
Yeah, they were right at the metal detector in the lunar lounge or lunar room, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that they're like, love him, protect him. And here's Kristoff like trying to kill this dude, basically. You know?
Well, maybe love him, protect him was for Kristoff.
Yeah. I mean, that very well could be. I could see that.
Because, like, he lives in the lunar room.
This is his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what that meant, but...
I don't know.
I thought it was for
Truman.
For Truman as well.
Yeah.
But they increase the wind. They knock over, like, one of the masts breaks because the lightning hits it.
Almost capsizes the boat.
Yeah. And they just start hammering him with, like, these big, huge waves. And I'm talking, like, beating him to a pulp. And he's basically drowning.
Yeah,
he's hanging by a foot. His foot is tied to a rope that's in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just drowning, basically, in the water.
Yeah.
And Kristoff says, that's enough.
Right. Meanwhile, there's this other like producer that's running around seeing what's going on and stuff, which that kind of factors in a little bit. But so anyway, he's okay. Truman is. I think that he got shook up pretty good, but he's fine. Hops back on the boat, gets going again, and then this is when I watched the movie when I was a kid. I was like, I can't believe this. He hits a wall. It looks like
right
the horizon.
Wall. Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
The front of the boat punches right through it.
Mm-hmm. And I was watching this once again with my mother-in-law, and she's like, this is really sad. You know, just watching it going, this is really, you know, I feel bad for this dude, you know, like all he wants to do is leave, you know. But little dramatic moment that's actually kind of nice from Jim Carrey where he's like banging on the wall and stuff, feeling really defeated. He finds this little footpath along the side of the wall. And by the way, if we haven't mentioned it, apparently this is a huge dome that Sea Haven is in.
Yeah, it's built right behind the Hollywood sign.
Mm-hmm.
It's the largest production set ever to be created.
Yeah, it said it's, along with the Great Wall of China, the only thing that can be seen from space.
Yeah, we learned all of this during True Talk.
The interview, yeah.
Yeah.
So he finds the staircase, and he walks up it, and there's the door right there, painted the same color as the horizon. And he's about ready to leave. And then Kristoff talks to him for the first time.
He does.
Yeah.
I'm the creator. Yeah.
And he says, you know, I created a show that you're the star of that inspires millions of people. And why don't you elaborate a little bit? I don't remember what all he said. But it was good.
Well, I mean, he just talks about...
He's trying to convince him to stay.
Yeah, he says, you know, I saw you being born.
Right.
I know you. I've seen your first step.
You lost your first tooth.
Yeah, he like walks through all of the events of Truman's life.
Right.
And how he was there for all of it, and he did it all for him.
Right.
And he wants him to stay.
Let me ask you this. Why would he want him to stay?
I don't know. Point? I was wondering the same thing because the cat's out of the bag.
The cat's out. It's not going to be genuine anymore if he knows that it's fake.
Even if Truman at this point agrees to stay, he's just an actor now.
Right. It's going to be the same thing, yeah. And so, really, at this point, you'd be better off finding somebody else to be in your show.
We need a new baby.
Right. Exactly. That's what I always thought was weird about it. I understand Truman's like an icon for, everybody that watches TV nowadays. But he can't stay, It's basically over at this point.
Yeah, we need room for William.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder what the black market on something like that would be, actually. I'm going to look on eBay.
He's going to find unwanted pregnancies.
No, for mine.
Oh, for yours?
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Let's just start our own show.
There you go.
We won't tell him. His show's going to suck. Because it's not going to be as big as the house.
Like the room that we're in is going to be... Here's the store in this corner over here.
It's just play sets. You're going to be 18 years old and like, Dad, I don't fit in this chair anymore.
Sucks. Like, this is the world. Okay.
Just open up the door while he's sleeping and introduce his girlfriend. Let's go hop in bed with him. You're his girlfriend now.
Oh, man. Anyway, so at the very end of the thing, he gives his little catchphrase. He decides not to stay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Steps through the door.
Takes a bow.
Yeah.
And walks out.
Which is kind of nice. I like the bow. Like, he's a showman, Yeah. And so then he leaves, and Sylvia is overjoyed. Runs down the stairs because I think she wants to meet him, obviously.
Right.
This is the part of the movie that I think is really telling, and I think that it was way before its time, and I think it was intended as a joke, but it's less funny nowadays.
Okay, I think I know where you're going here.
Yes.
All the fans that we've been watching watch this.
They're excited about it.
Some of them are crying. Like the two old ladies with the komodos. Like one is like pumping her fist, like pumped. The other one's like slumped over bawling.
Oh, okay.
The guy in the bathtub is freaking out. Mm-hmm. He's like shaking his bathtub, like no.
Yeah. I thought he was happy. He's like splashing in the water and stuff.
I think he was throwing a temper tantrum.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The women in the bar at the Truman bar, they're pumped.
Yeah.
They're excited, and then you get to the security guards.
Right. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. They're basically at the very end of the thing, and
you
they're
want
like,
another slice of pizza?
And
the other guy says no.
What? Let's see what else is on. Where's the TV guide?
Yeah.
And then that's how the movie ends.
What else is on?
Right. And to me, that's so telling of modern day, especially with social media and stuff like that, how people are able to see something that looks like it's like a major ordeal, and then 3 minutes later are past it. What are we looking at next?
And that's when, in the movie, when he said, and what else is on, I was like, holy shit, this movie's really good.
It blew my mind, honestly.
Like, it put a perfect bow.
Yeah.
Right on top of the movie, right at the end.
Yeah.
This is the last thing said in the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else afterwards.
Right.
What else is on? Like, and what you're talking about with the social media, man, I feel like this movie was an allegory.
Yeah.
Way before its time.
And we've played right into it as a society.
Like, we're all about our materials.
Mm-hmm.
People are fake as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why when you meet a genuine person, like, you just feel attracted to them. Like, you feel drawn to them, or you like to be around them.
Right.
And
somebody that is fake, they can be the nicest person ever, and you're like, I don't like that dude. I don't want to be around that person,
Right.
Yeah.
But if, like, I know some people who are themselves, and they're assholes.
Yeah.
But they don't apologize for it. They're just the way they are.
Kind of like me.
If they overstep the line, they'll apologize when they do that. But for the most part, they're just who they are.
Yeah.
I like those people.
Right.
All right. I gave her a shout out before, but Charlene, she's like one of the most genuine people I know.
There you go.
Like, she's on a New Kids on the Block cruise right now.
Oh, there you go. Is Donnie gonna be there?
I think they're all there.
Oh shit.
I mean, what's the point of going on the cruise if they're not all there?
I would go see Donnie. Just chill with him. I don't care about New Kids on the Block at all.
But when you meet genuine people, like, you got to keep them close, man.
Right.
Because so many people are fake.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say whatever to your face and stab you right in the back.
Right.
And that's what the world Truman was living in. It was a big fake-ass world.
It was.
Everybody was just catering to him.
Right.
But they didn't give a fuck about Truman.
Mm-mm.
They're trying to get paid, trying to be on TV.
Right.
The obsession with material objects.
Right.
The boss at his work, like, you got to pay the bills, Truman. Don't lose your job.
Right.
Like,
And the whole time the guy knows they're not going to fire him. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, man, like, hats off to Andrew Niccol.
Yeah.
Crushed it, dude.
I agree.
I would not have said this 20 years ago.
Really?
Watching this movie again, because of this format of the show, really made me pay attention to what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's one of my favorite Jim Carreys, honestly. And I think that it is kind of a parable about the way that things could go potentially. And now looking at it 20 years later, like, damn, things went that way, didn't they? You know, like,
yeah, we fed right into it.
Oh, yeah. Reality TV's like that. Fake people are like that. Constantly looking for the next big thing, forgetting about the thing that happened 20 minutes ago, you know. Like,
what else is on?
Yeah.
What a great
That
line.
sums it up right there, you know? And I think you could make the argument, like, these are two idiots that just want to watch TV, but I don't think that's what they're getting at.
They've watched the show for 30 years.
Yeah. I think that you could see it as maybe a joke, but I think that's they just want to be fed entertainment, you know.
But this kind of stuff happens. Like, for instance, let's use, like, The Sopranos.
Right.
All right, so The Sopranos goes for 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the 7th season, it's over.
Right.
You're left, you know, confused,
Right.
upset. Like,
Whatever.
you know, for whoever hasn't watched The Sopranos yet, go out and watch it. It's a great series.
I haven't.
The ending, I will just say, is, like, leaves you kind of hanging.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and so, like, you go through all these emotions, especially if you're really into the show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 minutes later, you're like, what am I going to watch now?
Yeah.
You start looking for new things to watch.
It sounds weird, but I was that way when, like, Seinfeld went off the air. I was like, well, I guess I could watch Frasier. You know, like,
well, Seinfeld was a 10-season run, right?
9, I think.
9?
Yeah.
I mean, but, like, so, I don't know if we're just programmed to be this way, or if we just, I don't know, if we just bought in, but.
I think it has to do, not just with entertainment, though. I think it has to do with everything, you know? It's a deal where, like, you notice how there's certain major things that take place in, like, the world of news and stuff like that. And then, you know, people are just looking for the next thing.
What's next?
Yeah, exactly. And so whether it's entertainment, like this actor just divorced this lady, or, you know, like, for example, the royal wedding just happened. It's, what, a week later and nobody's talking about it? You know, like, they've already moved on to the next thing.
I feel like nobody gave a fuck about it when it was happening.
I mean, I really didn't. But
maybe it's just personally for me too.
Right.
But, like, my wife watched the full Saturday coverage of it.
Oh, there you go. British people get married all the time. I couldn't care less, you know.
Well, I think
but
part of that, the attraction to that royal wedding was the fact that it was an American woman.
Right.
So it's a real princess story.
Yeah.
You know, like this
it's
girl
a
from
Cinderella deal.
Yeah, a girl from outside the area.
Right.
Pulled back in. Mm-hmm. Except for this girl happened to be a model and a television star. So, you know.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to look at it like Cinderella, it's kind of close.
Didn't watch any clothes or anything, but didn't talk to mice.
Didn't have a pumpkin carriage.
Right, exactly.
But it did have a fucking carriage.
There you go.
Hers doesn't turn into a pumpkin at midnight.
Oh, I didn't know anything about the carriage. I was not watching. I did not care.
Well, there's a carriage.
This is a great movie. I ain't gonna lie.
By far my favorite movie in 1998 so far.
That's what I was thinking. It took damn near 6 months, but we finally knocked one way out of the park, dude.
This is our 20th episode. I have to hand it to you, Shane. We've done 5 months.
Yeah.
Without missing a week.
Yeah.
Despite,
with a baby in there.
Yeah. Despite all the other shit that's going on.
Right.
My job causes me to work all day Saturday sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, I work late nights sometimes.
Right.
Whatever the situation was, we got it done.
Right.
Gotta thank the wives for being so patient.
Boy, it takes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's true.
We eat up a lot of our, like, Saturday afternoons with this show, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
But this movie, I feel like, was worth the 5 months almost.
I agree. I mean, we've talked about some good movies, like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. But as far as the actual, like, box office, you know, us covering 20 years ago, this is by far the best one we've stumbled across thus far.
Oh,
easily.
As of right now, I can say easy best movie of 1998.
Yeah. So far, yeah. We got some other really good ones coming up.
I know, but I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah. But it's crazy to me to think about the last one that was number one was Godzilla, and then this. That's two way opposite ends of the spectrum.
And City of Angels.
Yeah, man. What a piece of shit that thing was. I think I might have actually like all but stricken that movie from my memory. Like, I just don't care so much, you know. But anyway, if you haven't watched it, go watch The Truman Show. Jim Carrey's great in it. It's not his usual goofy, big teeth shtick where he's talking with his ass and whatever. What are you watching right now, Mike?
We're watching Westworld.
Oh, okay. I still haven't picked up second season yet. Actually.
Yeah, we're I think halfway into the second season.
Yeah,
it's really good. What else have we been watching? Oh, I watched a bunch of stuff like kind of on my own recently. I watched a documentary called Wild Wild Country.
I've seen that where there's like the like cult almost that's set up.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
the Rajneeshi.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what it was. But,
well, that's his name. That's
okay.
the cult leader's name. But there's another woman by the name of Sheila who's really intricate into it.
Yeah.
I just finished that last night. If you like something that's kind of fun, you might enjoy this. The show called The Toys That Make Us, or That Made Us.
Oh, I think where they go over like the history of like certain
they just
action
pick a
figures
toy
and stuff.
that was significant in our history,
right?
Specifically for people like our age,
right?
They'd go over the history of like that toy and
Teddy Ruxpin or whatever.
Like even they cover Star Wars. And
oh, okay.
Star Wars Toys has a really interesting story.
I got you.
Like it almost didn't happen.
It does, yeah. I know that they for a while were like selling empty boxes basically, and we're like, we'll get you your toy basically when we make it. Yeah. Right.
So that's been pretty good. I want to try out. I've heard Handmaid's Tale is really good.
I've heard that. Haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's really good, so I want to check that out. And what was the one you said last week?
The documentary about the evil genius.
No, not that one.
Oh,
the Burgeoning
Broadchurch.
Broadchurch.
Yeah.
So I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's a good one. I really like Broadchurch. I was thinking actually about picking up the British version of The Office again, because I'm like a huge Ricky Gervais fan.
You're a huge Ricky Gervais fan?
Really big.
This is the first time I've ever heard you say his name.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not funny.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know you were a really huge Ricky Gervais fan.
Well, I mean, I don't have his posters or anything, but I mean, you know, I think he's pretty great, and I have yet to see a movie that he was in that I wasn't like a fan of at all. And I'm like
his movie is hilarious.
The Invention of Lying.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
that movie's
funny.
great.
Mm-hmm. He was in this other one called Ghost Town, actually, with I think it was Greg Kinnear, I want to say, where he is this guy that he was supposed to have like a colonoscopy done, and so he's a dentist, and he's like, I do not want to be awake for this procedure, and so they give him like this anesthesia that like puts him out basically, and so he goes to sleep. Once the colonoscopy's done, they wake him back up, only to find out that he basically died on the table and they had to resuscitate him. And so now he can like see ghosts and stuff like that.
Huh.
And so yeah, it's pretty good. I doubt I'll watch it anytime soon. But I watched the 1976 King Kong today.
I had the pleasure, or not so much pleasure, of coming over when you were in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Damn, that thing drags on.
That thing has some pacing problems. And that actually, like, there's a bunch of haters. That movie actually could have been really good, but I think the pacing was way off base. I watched what's been released so far of the new season of Arrested Development.
Oh, I haven't watched those yet. Season 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them yet.
It's kind of too bad. Because I think the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development are great. They went through and re-edited season 4 on Netflix, and the re-edit of it is pretty great. Season 5, I think I might have to, because granted, once again, this was like when I was at the hospital and my wife was, you know, experiencing labor pains and stuff, and we're just basically just waiting out the clock until, you know, the big show. And so my mind wasn't in it, and so I might have to sit down and actually like watch it again, but I wasn't that impressed on the first go around. But that's what's up with me.
Very well.
So for next week, we'd actually discussed doing a deal, and I think we still have to work out the details. So I think we're gonna leave next week kind of a mystery. What do you say about that?
Dun dun dun!
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
Yeah.
For the conclusion.
Yeah. I think that if things do pan out, then it'll be a pretty good episode. But like I said, we have to work out the details. So Otherwise, if you want to, however, you can contact us. Our email address is cheesymovie@yahoo.com. We can be reached on social media, Casino Royale with Cheese, all separate words on Facebook. Our Twitter is Casino Royale WCH, all one word. Our Instagram, Casino Royale WCheese, all one word. YouTube, same deal. And what else? We got Twitter, we got YouTube.
Did you get the gram?
The gram? Yeah, Instagram, Casino Royale WCheese. I think I mentioned that. Oh, well, whatever. It's all in the title card on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, feel free to do so there. That's going to be it for me, homie.
Thanks for listening.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
I'll be back.